Why are there so many two-piece bands right now?
Because they're cheap.
It's over. Hey, it's Baxter.
And me, Jonathan.
We're talking about, well, we just got back from the Queen show.
Yes.
Amazing show. Royal Blood playing opening. Amazing band as well. It's pretty much a two-piece. But they brought a dude in for a little bit. Just it was a dude, I think. I couldn't see him. I was sort of behind a scaffolding thing. So I was sort of front area, which was amazing to have that access. But I've noticed it with a few bands. Like one of our favorite bands, we're gonna go see, I think on Sunday, Zach Person. His act, it's a two-piece as well, but this was an anomaly back in the day.
Oh yeah.
It was like, it
was like the White Stripes thing, right? And it was
kinda,
like Shovels and Rope. I remember being back around, doing the two-piece thing.
I like to say the Civil Wars, but they had a full band when they played, but I think of them as just that.
It's a little different, right? When it's just a duo of like, kind of acoustic music singing.
Side note, if you haven't heard the Civil Wars, it was an amazing band, and like they're both fantastic solo artists too. So check them out. Just a side note.
I forget about them.
I know, you put them on, and the record still holds up, and that thing is old now.
It is?
By like young people standards, not by like us old people standards. We're like, man, you hear Skinner's record? It's great. No, it's we think a lot of it's an economic driving force, obviously.
I think so.
Because touring now it's such a different thing. It doesn't pay what you think it pays.
No.
Like when you go see a band, please like support them. Like buy their merch. Like buy the record, even if you don't listen to records. I do that all the time. I don't have a record player right now. I think the records are really pretty. It's just wall art to me.
Well, they make, I saw something the other day about how much more they make from one, like if you buy one record versus like hundreds or thousands of streams. It's way more money in their pocket for the record. And we're not talking about like the top tier. If you go see Beyonce, yeah, she's doing okay.
She's fine.
But
Taylor Swift is fine.
We're talking about sort of the
other duo, like Illiterate Lights, like another like duo that we think are fantastic. We highly support them. Like it was fun to watch their Instagram go from like sub 10,000 to 35,000. It felt like over the course of a few months,
right?
Just because they've been a band for what, a decade, but they're a great live show. And congratulations, one of the members just had a child, I think.
Awesome.
But great act, and my condolences. It's God bless the diaper changing phase, but great acts, and then the Zach Person band, it's like Zach and Jake. It's a duo too, but it's a great act. I call them acts. I feel like I'm in Las Vegas. What a great bit you have there, kids.
America's Got Talent.
Is it artistically driven or is it economically?
I think it's probably a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I think it definitely makes the economics easier, right? Because having less people to pay is always a good thing, but especially when the sort of hole is getting smaller, smaller, smaller. So the less ways you have to kind of split the pie up is good. But there's something to limitation too. Sean always likes to say that about how limitation, spark. I don't know how he says it, but being limited by only two players is kind of neat.
Poor.
It's fine.
No, but
we love this ramen. It's the greatest thing.
Have you had ramen yet? Ramen's wonderful. Have you tried ramen for breakfast?
Nothing like ramen and Coors Light.
No, it's tricky because I do think there is something about that. But then at the same point, so many of these bands will use like tracks or things. So is it the limitation or?
Well, I think it gets tricky there. I'd almost rather see a two-piece band do the thing they do. Or like Royal Blood, I think that's creative, the way he splits his, guitar signal into half bass with the octave thing and half guitar. That's kind of neat, right? Like that's a thing.
No, because I do love a two-piece. Like I think it's really cool. Like, I'm a big fan of it. But then there's also like when we're just, again, you see like a full band from like, I've seen like some great shows from Chili Pepper. I think Sean's going to Foo Fighters tomorrow. You get a whole, it's like an army of dudes.
I was going to say, so many of the bands I love, they just keep adding people, right? And it's like, let's have 2 drummers and percussion and 17 guitar players, and an organ. And and they used to tour like that, right? I've been learning some stuff with my maybe future joining of a tribute band, some Skinner stuff. And it's awesome to think about. It's been a long time since I've learned parts where there's going to be 2 other guitar players and a keyboard player. It's such a different thing. But because I know that for me, as being like a side person in Nashville, it was always, you can only afford 1 guitar player and a bass player and a drummer and the artist, you know what I mean? And they would have liked to have fiddle and pedal steel and whatever, or keyboard player, but there wasn't the budget.
No,
most of the time.
that's the thing. Like a lot of people will forget when factoring. Like, why are there more people in that? There's an economic driver for all this because it is show business, and it's also a personality driver too.
Yeah,
let's say you got two guys that are like solid and have it put together, and they're out there touring, they're making a living. You add one cat like me or an idiot, it can throw the whole thing off.
It can.
And it's like a marriage without kissing.
Every person you add,
which is like a marriage.
Plus you get into bigger vehicles and then more gas and you need more rooms.
But that's what impressed me out of the Queen. So I think those guys are all on the same tour bus.
How many of them are there?
There's like there's 5 guys in the band.
5 dudes.
And that's impressive.
That is impressive.
And like they're rock stars.
Yeah.
I was like, man, maybe because I saw like 3 tour buses back there. I was like, well, they got to have like maybe Josh and Troy are in this one, and everybody else is in this one. And no, we're on the same band. I'm like, man, that's awesome.
I think that's more fun.
Well, and these are all grown-ups too. These aren't like 20-year-olds, but it's also this, it's a lot of money in savings.
Yeah.
Because I was just reading Dweezil Zappa had an article come out this morning. Said it cost him $10,000 a day to go on tour.
I'm sure.
And you're what?
And a big chunk of that is just that bus.
The bus.
The bus is insane. You know what I mean? People think, oh, I want to be on a tour of the bus. Man, it costs a lot of money.
Thousands a day goes to the bus. Then you got everybody in the band. You've got all the backline requirements of your equipment. I
mean, if you could do it with a Sprinter. Like if you're a smaller act and you got a Sprinter or like one of the little vans you've tricked out to have a bunk in. I mean, bus is cool.
Well, yeah, you get to like the levels like Queens when they're selling out, 6,000 seat places. They got, security and, a 30-person crew going with them everywhere to break and set down. Just think of the economics of that too.
Well, I remember reading, this was years ago, I can't imagine what it is now, but years and years ago, it was talking about how to put on like a Bon Jovi show with all the 18-wheelers with the stage and the lights and the props and then, them and then the whole crew, that it was like over $1 million. If I'm not mistaken, it was $1 million, per night, per show.
I did that with my son too, because we find it fast and we'll look up how much does it cost to send a carrier group like per day somewhere. It's like, it's so expensive. I'm like, how much does an aircraft carrier cost? I'm like, oh, it's billions for a boat. And then it's the day is like, you might spend like $50 million a day to move it somewhere.
So a slow day, a budget day.
That's not launching fighters and everything, but I can't remember what the number was, but it was a lot more than you think. So it's like touring. So maybe that's the trick, but maybe we're gonna have a ton because like Illiterate Lights and Zach Person's act, like there's 2 of my favorite bands right now.
Right.
And like I listen to them repeatedly. Like that one song by Illiterate Lights, like, every time I feel good, that song's great. It gets in your head. It's just like I Go Meow. That's raging the internet right now.
So you're saying it's like a 2-piece snack pack from KFC. It's the perfect size. It's perfect.
So yeah, but seriously though, when you're going out and supporting these smaller
and economic. I'm sorry.
It is. Oh man, you remember when we were poor and you had that.
What do you mean? Do I remember?
Living it now.
Yeah.
Living it all the time.
I remember.
I remember this morning.
That's right.
Oh, you're gonna have another snack pack. That's it's cool. It does create some beautiful music too. I really enjoyed being able to focus on those 2 as well, but I also like focusing on like a power line. Who knows? It's just fun to fascinate and do the meanderings of like what these bands are doing and how it functions and what the economics are, what's the artistic drive.
Just to make music.
So yeah, if you haven't checked out like Illiterate Lights, Zach Person, and an older band that's not existing, the Civil Wars, amazing. You said one more that we liked.
The Old White Stripes. I mean, people have checked out the White Stripes.
Obviously, the White Stripes.
Did I have one more? Do we have another one?
I can't remember. I also think of the Black Keys as a duo, but they travel with the full band.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's just the 2 dudes with great.
Well, I mean, you got like Ed Sheeran doing solo arena tours, just him and the Looper, and you got John Mayer did that big solo tour.
So it works.
And I don't know that was driven by.
I think that was just he wanted to do it.
I think so too.
I think
17 pedal boards later.
When you're like at that level, it's a different thing. I'd assume.
I think I'll just go out and play some songs for my friends.
What if John Mayer's out on tour? Like, what ramen are we having tonight, guys? I'm really hungry. Ramen, please. Get out of here. Let us know. Go support those duos. Support every band you see out there. Buy their merch. Have fun. Enjoy the shows. Buy the $15 beers at the venue too. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? It's Live Nation. They need the money too, right?
Have to. Yeah. It's great.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
And enjoy the music out there.